The range of people who have had abductions around the world, because it is a global phenomenon, is just, it's a total range. I've worked with people who are of Oriental backgrounds, African-American background, Hispanics. I've worked with one NASA scientist, a research scientist, who is an abductee, a police lieutenant from the South, doctors, lawyers. I mean, I've had, incidentally, 7 psychiatrists come to me because of their own personal abduction experiences. The phenomenon affects people from all walks of life.
And it has a dramatic effect on families. Debbie and Terry know firsthand. Both are ongoing abductees with deep concerns about the chilling connections between aliens and their children.
I thought this was mental illness. Then my son started speaking about little airmen coming into his room and taking us up, and there was even one point where he said, "They took blood out of you, Mama." He wanted guarding all the time. He wouldn't go to bed at night unless I slept with him. He was angry. And the other thing is he started setting traps. One night my husband came home from work and there's these little colored stones all over the garage. And Dale, my husband, said, "What is this for?" And he says, "Well, this is when the airmen come, they slip and fall on their butts."
The interesting thing about children is a sort of innocence about their perceptions. I will present these cards of different heads, and there's Santa Claus, Batman, policeman, a clown, Ninja Turtle, an alien. What we do is to see how the child responds when we get to the alien face, and it can be extremely moving, because I've seen children just collapse when they see the drawing of the alien, crying, hugging their fathers or their mothers in terror.
Well, she was 4 years old, and she was past bedwetting and all of that behavior. She was beyond that, and she'd never wet her bed. And when we moved to Banning, she started having nightmares every night and wetting her bed. And a couple of weeks ago, she had a bunch of scratches on her face, and she didn't have them when she went to bed. I said, "What happened?" And it was funny. The only thing I could get out of her was that she asked me, "Do aliens hurt you?" And I went, "What?"
And a woman told me, for instance, that her little girl, when she was first able to talk, would tell her about these nightmares of what she called the bugs coming in the room. And they were big bugs with big eyes. And again, there were some physical marks, all the surrounding evidence suggesting abductions. At one point, the mother, a few years later, was getting out of the car with her daughter at a shopping mall, and the Goodyear blimp was coming over. And the little child said, "Mommy, look, don't you remember when you and I were up in that thing with the bugs?"
The last time I had a session, in that session I actually saw Lexi being escorted by 2 small grays. And it was very upsetting to me. I could not handle the fact that my daughter was being subjected to something that I had no control over. And when I think you have no control over something, that you're so helpless, it's like your child's drowning or something, and you can't save them.
I feel like I'm going to go crazy because there isn't anything I could do for my son.
I know.
One of the most interesting things, too, from the child's point of view, has to do with the fact that communication is telepathic. One little boy drew on some drawings he'd made for me of the aliens. He put on the side of the head, each alien head, a gigantic ear, just one. And his mother said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, Mommy, I know they don't have ears, but I put that there because, you know, they can hear everything you're thinking."
When we return, Robert Urich takes you to the new Tomorrowland in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, where Disney Imagineers are creating extra terrestrial excitement, preparing the public for cosmic contact with a virtual alien encounter.
An official UFO sighting report, one of thousands compiled over the last few decades. This particular report from October 1969 was filled out by Jimmy Carter. He was still governor of Georgia at the time. He witnessed a luminous object suspended in a twilight sky. Later, when he assumed the office of President of the United States, his staff attempted to explore the availability of official investigations into alien contact. As this internal government memo illustrates, there are some security secrets outside the jurisdiction of the White House.
We investigated lights in the sky for over 20 years. We didn't get anywhere. We have over 100,000 cases from over 160 countries in our files at the Center for UFO Studies in Chicago. When you actually take the time to look at the official record, look at the actual declassified, disclosed documents on the phenomena, and I'll guarantee you'll walk away saying, why weren't we told about this? And why were we told something else altogether? We've all been indoctrinated to have this knee-jerk response just to that term, UFO. We have to ask ourselves, who started it? And isn't it about time we go out and find out for ourselves?
Every year, NASA routinely propels about 24 astronauts into a low Earth orbit aboard the space shuttle. A loud, lumbering, somewhat primitive rocket ship. But most Americans will likely explore outer space aboard crafts of alien origin. Statistics indicate a greater probability that you will experience extraterrestrial contact in the next 5 years than the chances that you will win a state lottery. But how do you prepare for such an extraordinary event?